All right, so get ready because today we are diving deep into Fairycore home design. And to help us out with this, we have an expert guest.
Hello.
So think, whimsical, nature-inspired, like you stepped right into a storybook, but it's your living room. And we're going to be using this awesome source from Cardinal Memorials to guide us as we transform our spaces into like personal enchanted havens. So,
That sounds pretty magical to me.
yeah,
Yeah, I think this source does a great job of like giving us a roadmap,
yeah,
like how to bring that enchantment into our homes.
right, totally. Okay, so I think one of the first things that we have to address is color. The source talks about these like enchanting color palettes, like
Mm-hmm.
ethereal pastels and enchanted forests. So what is the psychology behind choosing colors like that? And how do they contribute to the overall Fairycore vibe?
I mean, you're so right. Color is like the foundation, and colors are powerful, right? They can make you feel a certain way. They can even change how a space feels when you're in it. So when we're thinking about pastels, like lavenders and pinks and mint greens, it creates a sense of airiness and calm. It's almost like you're stepping into a dream,
Oh, yeah.
which is what fairy tales are all about, right?
Right, totally. I can already picture like gauzy curtains and like sunlight through the leaves.
Exactly. And then you've got like the deeper, earthier tones like moss green
Yeah.
and mushroom beige. And those colors, they ground the look and they bring in that nature element, which is so important. It creates a sense of balance. The source even mentions like a twilight magic palette. So that's
Yeah.
like if you want something a little moodier, it's got deeper burgundies and grays.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's like you're creating a whole world in your home. I love that.
Yeah.
What about bringing the outdoors in? Because the source really emphasizes that.
That's huge. Yeah, it's not just about looking at pictures of nature. It's about being immersed in it, even when you're inside. And there's like a ton of benefits to having plants around. They clean the air, they reduce stress. There are even studies that say that they boost creativity.
So it's not just pretty. It's like good for you.
It is. It's good for your mind and your body.
I love that. Okay.
This source gives us some really great ideas for that, too. Like, you can use cascading vines to create a sense of lushness, and then potted plants, a bunch of different textures. And, of course, we can't forget about terrariums. So it's all about bringing that life and energy into your space.
Okay. I think I need to visit a plant nursery like right now. All right, let's talk about lighting. The source makes it very clear that overhead lighting is a no-no in Fairycore design. Why is that?
Okay, so think about lighting in a forest. It's soft and dappled and it creates this like sense of mystery and wonder. But overhead lighting can feel really harsh and sterile. It's just like the opposite of what we want. We want to create a cozy, magical atmosphere.
Totally. So it's about creating a more natural and inviting ambience.
Exactly.
Right.
And the source suggests a few things, like fairy lights, which are like Fairycore 101, table lamps with like a diffused light, and then candles, of course, because, candles just add that like ethereal glow.
Mm-hmm.
This type of lighting mimics natural lighting patterns. So it's not only pretty, but it can also help you relax and unwind.
Nice. So we've got the colors, the nature, and the lighting. What's next?
So welcome back to our deep dive into all things Fairycore.
Okay, so we've talked about colors and bringing in nature and lighting. What else is important when you're trying to create that perfect Fairycore haven?
Well, it's not just what you see, it's what you feel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the source mentions making a space that's soft and dreamy and touchable.
So we're talking textures.
Exactly. Think about like walking through a forest. You feel soft moss, maybe some rough bark, or like the delicate petals of a flower. We can bring those feelings inside. That's what makes it feel magical.
I love that. So like, what kind of textures should we be thinking about?
Well, gauzy curtains are really nice because they add airiness and movement. And then you've got velvet throw pillows, so comfy and inviting. And then I love a good chunky knit blanket, like for those chilly nights when you just want to get cozy.
Ooh, yeah.
The source also mentions lace.
Oh, yeah, lace.
Yeah, lace is great because it has those delicate patterns, almost like something you'd find in a fairy's wardrobe.
I can totally see that. Like a lace doily on a side table or a lace pillow. It's all in the details.
It really is. It's about engaging all of your senses. Like imagine running your hand across a smooth wooden table or sinking your feet into a soft rug, even like the smell of dried flowers.
Wow. Okay. I think I need to rethink my entire approach to decorating. Speaking of details, what about those little whimsical accents? Those are like peak Fairycore.
Yeah, the source has some really fun ideas for that, like vintage mirrors. Not only do they reflect light and make a space feel bigger, but they also add like a touch of mystery.
Oh, I love that. What about mushrooms? I'm seeing them everywhere, but like
Yeah.
mushrooms.
Mushrooms are so cool. They symbolize growth and transformation, that connection to nature. Plus, they're just kind of whimsical looking.
Yeah, they fit right in. And then, of course, we can't forget about crystals. They add that extra sparkle.
Yeah, and for some people, crystals bring a sense of energy or magic to a space.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in that or not, they are just beautiful and so unique. Every crystal is different.
Yeah, I love that. So it's like bringing a little piece of nature's magic inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked textures, we've talked accents. What about furniture? What kind of furniture screams Fairycore?
The source describes it as having a cozy retreat, woodland escape kind of vibe.
Okay, so think comfortable, inviting, full of character.
Exactly like a cozy armchair, a canopy bed with gauzy fabric, maybe like an old writing desk tucked into a corner.
Oh, yeah.
You want to use natural materials like wood and wicker and rattan, and don't be afraid to incorporate vintage or antique pieces.
So it's not really about like following rules. It's more about finding pieces that you love
Hmm.
and that tell a story.
Exactly. It should feel authentic and personal.
Yeah. What about the way you arrange the furniture? Does that matter too?
Oh, absolutely. Fairycore is all about flow and movement. Think about how you walk through a forest. You have paths and clearings and hidden nooks. You can recreate that in your home.
Okay, so how do we do that with furniture?
Well, think about creating different zones in your space, like a cozy reading nook or a dining area that feels like a whimsical tea party, or maybe even a meditation corner.
I love that. Like
Huh?
little pockets of magic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to experiment with furniture placement. Try arranging things at different angles. Create curves instead of straight lines.
So it's more about going with the flow.
Yes, exactly.
This has been so fun. We've covered so much ground. But there's still more to explore. We'll be back for part 3. We'll be answering your questions, and we're going to dive into some DIY projects.
I can't wait.
All right, so welcome back to our Fairycore deep dive.
It's time to get crafty.
Yes, it is. So we talked about a couple of DIY projects from the source.
Yes, a moss-covered mirror flower crowns and garlands and a fairy garden.
Okay, so let's start with that moss-covered mirror. The source called it like a portal to a magical realm. But like, is it really that easy to make?
Oh, yeah, totally. You just need a mirror with a frame that you can glue stuff to, and then you can choose real moss or fake moss. Real moss looks and feels more authentic, but fake moss is definitely easier to take care of.
True. I do not have a green thumb. So
Yeah.
fake moss it is. What's the best way to attach it?
The source doesn't really say, but I'm sure you can find a bunch of ideas online, like hot glue or wire, or even those little floral pins. You could even add some tiny mushrooms or crystals.
Oh, that's cute. Like a tiny enchanted forest right on your mirror. Okay, what about flower crowns and garlands? Those seem pretty magical too.
They are. And again, you can use real or fake flowers.
Hmm.
Real flowers smell amazing, but fake flowers last longer and they come in way more colors.
Good point. How do you arrange the flowers?
Just choose a variety of shapes and sizes and textures, so it looks like a natural bouquet. You can attach them with floral wire or hot glue or even ribbon.
Oh, I love the ribbon idea. It adds that rustic touch. Okay, and lastly, the miniature fairy garden.
This one's my favorite.
Me too?
It's like creating a tiny world.
Yeah. The source says to use a terrarium. That makes sense.
Yeah, keeps the plants happy.
Okay.
For plants, you want to choose things that are small and don't need a lot of attention, like ferns, mosses, maybe some succulents.
Perfect. And then comes the fun part. All the little decorations.
Yes, tiny mushrooms, pebbles, little houses, maybe even a swing set.
Like a miniature world filled with magic.
That's what Fairycore is all about, right?
Yeah, bringing that magic into our homes. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
We've learned so much about Fairycore, from colors and textures to furniture and DIY projects. But the most important thing to remember is that it's all about personal expression. There are no rules. Just find what brings you joy and create a space that reflects your own unique style. So if you're feeling inspired, start by asking yourself, what sparks your imagination? What makes you feel connected to nature? And what brings you a sense of peace and wonder? Maybe it's adding some fairy lights, or creating a cozy reading nook, or maybe it's trying one of those DIY projects we talked about. Whatever it is, embrace your inner child and create your own fairy tale haven. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and keep believing in the magic of Fairycore.